I'm Randy Cohen, and I wrote a play called The Punishing Blow.
Punishing Blow is a play by Randy Cohen, who is a 4-time Emmy winner for comedy writing for Rosie O'Donnell and David Letterman.
And for the last 12 years, up until 5 minutes ago, I wrote the Ethicist column in the Times Magazine. That was what I was doing when I started working on this play. I read a wonderful book called London Life in the 18th Century by a historian named M. Dorothy George. And she makes a sort of passing reference to Jewish life in 18th century London. They were a kind of despised immigrant group until there rose among them a champion, this fellow Mendoza, who by rising to glory humanized these people, relieved some of the anti-Semitism. He's kind of the Muhammad Ali of 18th century Jews. But he goes on to write this wonderfully literate memoir. A fascinating book, and it seemed a story that someone should tell the story, and that someone was me. I wrote all sorts of versions of it that just frankly were, crappy. I wrote crappy versions, they just weren't very good, my fault. And then it struck me that because of my job writing the ethics column, I've given a lot of public lectures, and that was a form I know a lot about. So I thought, well, what if you wrote this as a lecture? And then the question becomes, well, who is giving the lecture and why? And what's the relationship of that person to Mendoza? And then I got a gift from God. Well, I guess we all did, named Mel Gibson. And when Mel Gibson is arrested in this, vile, drunken, anti-Semitic outburst, I thought, well, that could be my guy.
I committed a hate crime against a ginkgo tree.
A college professor is arrested in a drunken, anti-Semitic outburst.
Completely drunk off his ass in his bathrobe, shouting at trees.
I knocked it down and then denounced it in horrible, horrible language, suggesting that the ginkgo tree had been deliberately planted in front of my car by Jews.
Leslie is the protagonist of this piece. He's a college professor, and he's plateaued, we could say kindly.
The Prince of Wales was prominent among the fancy, followers of the pugilistic art, the followers of gambling, drinking, and whoring. Well, what else did he have to do while waiting for his father to die? George III, King of England.
He is a man eaten up with frustration and jealousy.
Robert Louis Stevenson, a fight fan, an admirer of the Navy. The man who wrote this. In winter, I get up at night and dress by yellow candlelight. In summer, quite the other way. I have to go to bed by day.
And as part of his community service, the judge sentences him to deliver a lecture on one of the 100 most influential Jews of all time.
With the hopes that, having researched someone so intimately, he will start to have a better understanding and a generosity towards the Jewish people.
This is a real thing, real in the sense of there's a list on the internet, and what's realer than that?
Karl Marx, another Jew who contributed so much to humanity. Another Jew I might have lectured on.
Jesus is number 2 on the list.
Just below Arthur Miller, just above Stephen Sondheim.
So our guy, rather than choosing an obvious candidate, Einstein or Freud, or someone unambiguously influential, as a kind of thumb in the eye to the judge, picks Daniel Mendoza, the great 18th century Jewish, British, bare-knuckle boxer.
The memoir of the life of Daniel Mendoza. He not only beat people senseless, he bragged about it in print.
And the play is the lecture he gives, which does not go quite as planned.
I am not an anti-Semite. I am a drunk. Where are the colorful ethnic stereotypes of my childhood? A hate crime requires a victim. You must punch an actual Jew.
Jokes are made, anti-Semitic behavior comes across that is not being condoned, but you laugh at it, and then you have to, the playwright makes you contemplate, why were you doing that?
I can't understand how you could tell a complicated story about human beings that at some time wasn't funny.
And you sort of feel a little guilty for laughing at a good deal of the things that he says, and that's a really nice feeling.